Right foot to top. Doncaster Rovers have done it.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL, your Doncaster Rovers fan channel, and welcome to this DRFC Daily Reports, bringing you the latest news from Doncaster Rovers Football Club. In today's show, we welcome Steve Eyre to the coaching staff. We look at one particular Rovers player who's been catching the eye of rival managers, and we're going to be looking at the latest injury updates going into tomorrow's game with Cheltenham, which I will be at. So please like the video if you loved it, comment down below your thoughts and opinions, subscribe if you're new around here, click the notification bell to see the next YouTube video, and let's get straight into this one. So we kick off with a player asked about by every manager. Doncaster Rovers boss Gary McSheffrey has revealed every manager asks him about Joseph Olowu. Since joining for free in September 2021, Olowu has been a key player for Doncaster Rovers. The central defender made the move to the Keepmoat Stadium after being let go by Arsenal at the end of last season, and following his move, he cemented himself in the starting 11. Across all competitions, the 22-year-old has played 28 times, chipping in with 4 goals and 1 assist from the defence. Now McSheffrey has moved to heap praise on Olowu, revealing he's also caught the eye of rival managers. As quoted by the Doncaster Free Press, the Doncaster Rovers boss labelled the defender's first campaign of senior football as terrific, stated that while his concentration levels could do with improving, Olowu could go on to enjoy a very successful career. While discussing some recent struggles at the back, McSheffrey said it's all about consistency and concentration levels. I had a good chat with a couple of lads about it. Olowu is a prime example. Every manager asked me about Joseph Olowu. He's having a terrific first season at first team level, but if his concentration levels could be there for 90 minutes, he's got the chance to be a top centre-back and have a top career. When he does switch off, and he won't be bothered about me saying this because he knows it's an area he needs to improve, it very often ends up in a goal or a sitter of a chance. With McSheffrey looking to guide Doncaster Rovers to unlikely survival, he'll be hoping to have Olowu at his best for the final 10 fixtures of the season. As it stands, the club sit in 23rd place and they face an uphill battle to stay in the league. The club are 4 points away from safety and all of their relegation rivals have games in hand, but their recent improvement in results is a reason to be encouraged. So that is what was said about Joseph Olowu. Now, when you get a story in the media that says every rival manager or every manager's asked about Joseph Olowu, immediately as a Rovers fan you're sort of thinking, oh no, people are going to be in for him in the summer, aren't they, whether we go up or whether we stay up or not. And you're like, oh no, please, Doncaster Rovers Football Club, do not let him go. Not when we've had a great season with him so far. Do not let him go for... If you're going to let him go and he wants to go, don't let him go for pennies. Don't let him go for nothing. Go for a fee or something. Luckily, his contract to us to, I think, summer 2023, I believe I read somewhere. So, you know, there's no risk of him going for free if he was to go in the summer. But I really don't want him to go. I really don't. I've spoken to Olowu many times since he's come to the club, whether under Richie Welland or Gary McSheffrey. I've spoken to him many times. He is just one of the greatest guys I've ever spoken to in my life. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever spoke to in and out of the pitch. And I really don't want him to leave. I really don't. He's a fantastic player. And I think someone that I could get behind 100%. So yeah, I really don't hope this means that people are going to be in for him. It could be just... it could just be praise, which I completely respect. But normally, when every manager asks about a player, immediately in your mind as a fan, you're thinking, "Oh God, this is going to turn into a transfer story in a few months, isn't it?" So I do have that worry, of course I do. But fingers crossed, it is nothing more than just praise. Let's go into our next story then with a brand new addition to the coaching staff. So Doncaster Rovers welcome Steve Eyre to the club. The Rovers coaching staff has been strengthened with the arrival of the experienced Steve Eyre. The 49-year-old has quickly become a vocal presence at Cantley Park after leading several sessions this week to drive Rovers preparations for Saturday's trip to Cheltenham Town. A coach for the past 30 years, the former Rochdale manager was recruited swiftly following the departure of part-time set-piece coach Glenn Hodges, who took up the post to assistant manager at Bradford City after they appointed the new manager Mark Hughes. Eyre spent moving into coaching at the age of 19 and spent 21 years with Man City, winning 5 Youth League titles, guiding the under-18s to 2 FA Youth Cup finals and won one in 2008 with a side that included the likes of Daniel Sturridge, Kieran Trippier and Ben Mee. He joined Rochdale as manager in 2011 before taking on the role of senior development coach at Huddersfield Town. He's also worked among the coaching staff at Chesterfield and Fleetwood in recent years. He's already familiar to several players within the squad, having worked with them previously. His most recent job was actually assistant manager to Joe Barton at Fleetwood Town. Let me talk about my thoughts on the appointment of Steve Eyre. So welcome to Doncaster Rovers, Steve Eyre. Like I said, someone who's worked with some very good people. Kieran Trippier being one of them. Daniel Sturridge being another one. Ben Mee being another one in the Man City youth. Yeah, this guy's been around the block. He's got some experience to his name, some real experience. And, you know, what's the big link here between Gary McSheffrey, Frank Sinclair and Steve Eyre? They've all worked with youth. Gary McSheffrey's been the under-18s manager. Frank Sinclair's been the under-16s. And Steve Eyre's worked with the youth at Man City. He's won titles with the youth. He's worked with younger players that have gone on to be world-class talents like your Daniel Sturridges, your Ben Mees, people say, well, why Sturridge and Mee world-class talents? Think about this. Sturridge has played in the Premier League. He's now playing abroad. Ben Mees, been with Burnley for a good few years now. And Kieran Trippier has just left Atletico Madrid for Newcastle. When you work with talent like that, and you help develop them and win youth titles with them, and they go on to have successful careers, world-class careers in my opinion, you've got a good man in Steve Eyre. You've got someone who's been there and done that at youth level to provide the talent that the Premier League fans and the big club fans have enjoyed watching for numerous years now. So, for me, when you've got someone like that who's provided the foundations for talent to go and have successful careers, at clubs, at the big clubs, you've got a great coach with you. So, and I haven't really done a video on this yet about Glyn Hodges leaving after such a short time at the club. Do I personally feel like do I feel like he'll be missed? Kind of. I'm not going to say entirely. I think he will be missed, yeah, because I think he was a nice guy. I spoke to him a couple of times before he left. Nice guy. But I think you've got to look on the base of it. Glyn worked with Mark Hughes pretty much everywhere he went. So it wasn't a surprise that Mark Hughes, when it was announced to be joining up with Mark Hughes, it really wasn't a surprise. Especially with him being a part-time member of our staff. It wasn't full-time at all. So he could go off to be assistant manager at Bradford City. Because let's face it, if I had the choice between staying on part-time as a set-piece coach or going to be an assistant manager at a club, no matter what division it's in, I'd go and try myself at being an assistant manager. So, for me, it wasn't really a surprise to see Glyn Hodges go. Was I surprised at the timing? A little bit, because he hasn't been here long, but again, linking to the fact that Mark Hughes takes him everywhere he goes. So, again, it really wasn't a surprise looking back on it. Am I happy that Steve Eyre is here instead? Absolutely. I'm a little bit, unhappy that Glyn Hodges went, because obviously we didn't have enough time with Glyn Hodges, but I think when Mark Hughes went to that job, you knew where he was going. So it sort of means a lot, but doesn't mean a lot, if you know what I mean. It's sort of best of both worlds. It's like Hannah Montana, best of both worlds. Doncaster Rovers, chill it out, take it slow, and we rock out the show. But Steve Eyre, I think you couldn't have found a more ready-made replacement. I mean, the deluded Rovers fans will message me now and say, well, we could have got Man City's coach. And you're like, well, look at us, look where we are. Be realistic. So I think Steve Eyre, in terms of realistic appointments, was the right way to go. I think someone like Steve Eyre was the right way to go. And I think he'll do a good job with us. I'm hoping it's not a short-term contract. I'm hoping it is longer-term to work with Gary and Frank and the whole of the coaching staff, Steve Hernandez, and all these different people. So I'm hoping it is long-term. And we'll see what Steve Eyre does going forward. So welcome to the club, Steve Eyre, and hope you stay with us for a long time. Now, let's go into our final story about the injury updates going into tomorrow's away match at Cheltenham Town. So Doncaster Rovers boss McSheffrey has provided an injury update ahead of the side's trip to Cheltenham tomorrow. Galbraith is set to return to the squad after successfully resuming full training this week. And by the way, if you've seen the Galbraith returns video on Doncaster Rovers' social media, you wonder who the person was leading that session where Galbraith returned, the training session. It was Steve Eyre, by the way. Now, also, Bostock trained with the squad, but this weekend's game will come too soon for him. Anderson is expected to return full training this week, has been absent due to sickness this week. McSheffrey did not completely rule out Anderson from featuring against the Robins. The captain has not featured since December 11th due to a foot injury, while Bostock has been out for 3 months having ankle surgery. Younger, the victim of McCormick's red card tackle, it says wild tackle, but I know it's a red card tackle, in last weekend's draw at Wimbledon, is nursing a sore foot, but should be okay to feature this weekend. Olowu still hopes to return to training next week fully. John has also been penciled in to resume full training next week, but McSheffrey says the 22-year-old will not be rushed back after 6 months on the sidelines and is expected to prolong his work with the fitness coaches. So John penciled in to return next week. Olowu hopes to return next week. Younger will be alright. Anderson hopefully could feature at least on the bench, but didn't train fully this week. Bostock trained this week, but will come too soon this weekend, so maybe next week is where we could start to see Bostock a bit more. And Galbraith will return to the squad after successful training this week. Now let's talk about my thoughts on the squad, little by little, coming back. Gary McSheffrey, I think looking back, when Gary McSheffrey said, when all these players come back in March, we'll have one of the top sides in terms of staying up after March. He wasn't wrong. Gary McSheffrey was telling the truth. I think when he came out and said that by March we'll have more of a fully fit squad to choose from, he was telling the truth. And we were looking back a couple of months ago and saying, oh, that, you don't know what you're talking about, we're on a rotten run of form, we're bottom of the league, we're not going anywhere but down. Looking back, he's actually telling the truth, because we're only 4 points from safety. You know, we've got some winnable games coming up on paper. We've got the best form out of the bottom 6 teams, and the most wins out of the bottom 6 teams, if I'm not mistaken, at least the bottom 5 anyway. And more players are coming back. Bostock's back. Anderson's hopefully back. Galbraith is back. Olowu back next week, hopefully. John back next week, hopefully. Taylor back in a few weeks. Okunabiri hopefully back in a few weeks. It's going from strength to strength. We're going to have more players back. Squad depth will be mental. The under-18s that were having to feature on the bench because of all the injury problems in the first 6 months of the season under Wellens, and now back at the under-18s and developing like they should be, rather than be put in the firing line to replace injured players, which is also always great to see. You know, we got a glimpse of the future with players like Kulea, and I've seen some of the under-18s games. I think Chadwick in goal looks like a brilliant future captain in the back of the nets. Alex Wolney, Polish striker, looks to be Rovers under-18s and to Robert Lewandowski. No word of a lie. I'm joking. But you get the Lewandowski reference with the Polish nationality. But no, Alex Wolney looks like a great talent as well. You know, so many great... Bobby Faulkner. Every single week I'm hearing so much praise about Bobby Faulkner. He could be a great defender for us in the future. Imagine, and this is no disrespect to Rochelle Williams, because I think he could be a part of this future as well, especially for playing a back 3. Having Anderson as your experienced guy, you've got Williams coming up, you've got Younger coming up, you've got Olowu coming up, you've got Faulkner at the back, Ben Blythe at the back as future options as well. The defence looks set, long and short term at the moment. So it's building along really, really nicely. And I think could be a really nice opportunity to see what happens now. So I'd be really excited. And I think, like I said, Gary McSheffrey was telling the truth. I think as soon as players start coming back, by March, we'll have a strong enough squad to compete. I think he wasn't looking back. He was telling the truth. You know, I'm not saying I completely doubted him saying that. I sort of looked at it both sides and was like, I get why he's saying that, because I think in a couple of months we'll have a stronger squad. But again, some of that stronger squad we haven't really seen all season, and some of those players didn't perform. We were already on a bad run as it was, so it's like, I don't have any confidence, but I sort of really want to see what McSheffrey means by that. looking back, he was 100% telling the truth. You know, hopefully we do win tomorrow, and I'm hoping this is the start of a nice run. But yeah, hopefully some positive signs now for Rovers. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. By the way, I did see like an XP chart, like an XG, I think, not XP, XG kind of chart in terms of like, you know, most likely points per game, etc. between now and the end of the season. I believe it's sort of like us and Gillingham staying up on the sort of remaining points that we are projected to get in terms of XG. I think us and Gillingham stay up and the rest of them go down. Morecambe, Fleetwood, Wimbledon and Crewe. So, I mean, obviously, you know, it's just an XG. You know, things can happen between now and the end of the season. But, I don't know. I think, like I said, our form's been the best out of the bottom 5, bottom 6 at the moment. And, you know, we are well on track to survive if we just keep up these performances. You know, look at Wimbledon. Wellens' team, no disrespect to him personally, but Wellens' team from 6 months ago, or a McSheffrey team with no real McSheffrey signings, would have collapsed at 2-0 and just made it 3 or 4. It would have been another 4-0 defeat. We've got more fight and morale and spirit in the team, and we fought back with the 2 quick goals, you know, and we didn't lose our heads. We kept going. We didn't get the winner, which was unlucky, but in the second half, we probably could have won that. Especially in the last half an hour, 35 minutes, we probably should have won that. So there is more spirit and belief. There's no keeping our heads down when we're 2 goals down anymore. Whether that changed on a different day, we don't know. But, yeah, I think perspective is needed when looking at different games now. So, but yeah, I'm really excited and I can't wait to see what happens next. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Make sure you do like, comment, subscribe. And for now, I'm the CHALL, your Dog's Rovers fan. Goodbye.
I'm Challenger! I'm Challenger! I'm Challenger! I'm Challenger!